People eye. I've always wanted to do that, but that is like being a nerd to the nth degree, which is probably not entirely off the mark. People eye means hi in the divine language from the fifth element, which is... Hey everybody, I am Allie Cross, and I have been dying to do this video and to join you all on AuthorTube and WriterTube for ages, like years. And I've watched all of those who were early adapters or adopters, and you guys are so cool, and I wanted always to be a part of your club. But alas, I have been chicken, and of course I totally knew what I wanted to say in this very first For Reals video, and I've screwed it all up. So instead of editing it all out, I figure this is probably kind of what you're gonna get. So let's be real, shall we? Okay, so to ease myself into this world of yours, booktubers and all of you awesome readers out there, I'm gonna do the newbie tag. And let's hope that I can get good at like adding in text and stuff, so when I go the newbie tag, it actually makes sense. But in my head, I'm really thinking of SpongeBob when he goes, imagination. And if you haven't seen that video, you ought to go check it out. All right, so, stress. And I've, like I said, tried to get the glasses to not do the glare and the whatever, while still making me look halfway decent. And I'm not so good, and I can tell that I keep looking down at myself, and I just hope I get better, right? Can only get better, I think. Okay, so how did I find AuthorTube, or how did I hear about it? I've been watching booktubers do book reviews and stuff for a long time, like since I started publishing, so 10 years or so. And I think I started to be aware of the AuthorTube hashtag maybe 4 years ago or so. But as you do, you wait until you have something important to say, or you wait until the time is right, or you have the right equipment, or, right? And the thing is, all of those perfect storms don't ever come together at the same time in real life. So here I am with probably imperfect equipment and probably fewer awesome things to say than I think I have to say. And I am busier than I've ever been. But hey, why not start something new, right? So here I am. I just couldn't wait any longer to join your awesome community. So what genres do I write in? I write young adult, urban fantasy, and paranormal romance. You can see a few of my books kind of captured on there. So yeah, so that's what I write. Am I a plotter? I feel like I missed something. Oh, what is my preferred tense? Or point of view and category of story. Point of view is almost always first person. Tense is almost always past tense. Although I do, some stories call for first tense. No, for present tense, sorry. And I've yet to really put out a book in first person present tense, although I often write a first draft in that tense. And then that brings up the question, why change it? Why not just keep it in present tense? And I don't know why. I'm actually dealing with that right now in my current whip, and I don't know. I think it's gonna go out first person past. but it really has kind of put a head on this concept and this question for me personally. Why fight it if that's the voice of the story and of your main character? So I don't know. So mostly first person past. Category of story? I don't really know what that means, except that I usually write fairly angsty main characters, not like specifically on purpose, but because I really enjoy, because that's how they appear to me, okay? Because the characters I have a lot going on inside. And so maybe less angsty. I do think my first series was quite a bit angsty, and I apologize for that. That would be Become Here with Desi. She was a little angsty. But other characters are less angsty and more introspective. Just have a lot going on in their internal climate that doesn't always come out verbally or whatever. So, and I think that I can say that I really love deeper stories where exciting and awesome stuff is happening, of course, but where the heart, not just in romance either, I mean, like, your soul is, we expose my characters' souls. That's what I tried to do. Okay, I have no idea if that answered a question. Am I a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? I had never heard the word plantser till I read it in this question. But, I guess that works. I like to think of I like discovery writer better than pantser, because according to this question, I probably am a plantser, but I really love the discovery that happens between point A and point B. So I'm a big fan of Save the Cat and basic screenwriting models for writing a novel, because I think that that's how consumers want their story delivered. It's how I want my story delivered. I don't like tons of dragging, before I get hooked. I want you to hook me pretty quickly. And so I want to hook my readers. So I feel like structure is a good idea. To me, it's kind of like I'm taking a road trip, and from, like, here, I live in Utah, to, say, South Dakota. Just because when I moved from Nova Scotia to Utah, we drove through the Dakotas and down through Yellowstone and stuff. And I recall a lot of, like, wall drug advertisements, and the scene for where they filmed Dances with Wolves, which I'm an 80s girl, so I was a bit of a fan of. And so I just really remember that epic road trip that my husband and I took when we'd been newly married. So I imagine that with every story, I kind of imagine that I'm taking a road trip. And I know that we need to hit certain points by a day in our journey, because if not, we're going to be off our timeline. Maybe we're not going to arrive in time for whatever event we're going for, or who knows what. I'm making my description overly complicated. Sorry. But, like, it's like taking a trip where you've got a few definitive points that you want to reach for sure. I want to see the world's largest ball of yarn, right? Who wouldn't? But along the way, it's kind of anything goes. So long as we get to the ball of yarn, we can stop at any other points of interest that interest us along the way. So that's a really, really long way of saying that I like having a roadmap with some points that I know I want to hit, but otherwise I like to discover. And definitely if I'm writing a new series, then the first draft is, even though I do have a plan for it, the first draft really is discovery, because no matter how well I've drawn out a character or a scene or settings before I start writing, it's not until I'm writing that I really know anything. So, and I probably totally messed that up. So if you understood or followed me along that, snaps for you, right? Okay, am I self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am self-published. I'm happily so. Oh, I made like my desk. I'm going to do that a lot probably because I'm exuberant. I started, like so many of us did, down the traditional route. Had a New York agent, worked with her for a year, and some unfortunate things happened in her life that made her leave the business and kind of left me and her other clients a little high and dry. So I had the choice. I could start over, or I could self-publish, or I could shelve that book and try something new. But this was in 2011 when, 2011. And so self-publishing was just beginning to cross that line where it was no longer, there was still a huge community that looked down upon self-publishers. And I'd been one of them at one point, for sure. But I was starting to see some other writer friends of mine who I really respected and enjoyed their work as quality storytelling, who were going into indie publishing. And in fact, one of these questions I think is going to be about an AuthorTuber who I really admire online. And that one, my number one favorite is Sarah Cannon. And Sarah was beginning to self-publish at the same time, or maybe she had just before this, and I joined with her and a handful of other writers, and we began this group called the Indelibles, and we kind of helped each other support and lift up our work, because there wasn't a whole lot of that going on. Like, there wasn't a lot of support for self-publishing writers. But I, like everyone else in our group, ended up really loving self-publishing, and I've stayed in it and love it and would choose it now as a career, just because it turns out I am a bit of a control freak. I really do love controlling every step of the process, from the type of story I'm going to tell, to how I write it, to how it's edited, to how it's packaged. I love that I can revamp a book to keep it fresh with current publishing trends. I love that I can put my books on sale if I want to, or give them away if I want to. I love that I can read a book like Sarah does here on YouTube. I wouldn't be able to do that if I were traditionally published. So for me, self-publishing has been definitely the answer. However, I would never take away the experience I had in looking for an agent and in working with an agent, because I think it helped, I know that it helped me clarify my story and who I was and moving forward. And I just realized that I've had my fan going this whole time. And I'm probably not going to want to re-record this video. So I hope the sound hasn't been too bad, because it's really, really hot in my office. So I probably would be like dripping sweat if I didn't have my fan on. So hopefully you guys can forgive me for that, and I'll try not to have it on in the future. Okay, so what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? So this has been a lot of what's held me up from joining in here. I've tried TikTok and stuff, and I felt like I needed to do YouTube because I'm a talker, in case you haven't noticed, and TikTok is just a little too quick for me. And I'm not super funny like Sissy Poo, Selena Meyer on TikTok. So here I am on YouTube, but what am I going to talk about? Okay, so there are some things that I'm passionate about. Let's see. I want to talk a lot about my process. I really want readers to feel comfortable here because, readers are awesome and we wouldn't have a job without readers. And so I want it to be a place where there's value for readers. So I'll probably copy Sarah a lot, and I hope she takes this as a form of admiration and respect, because I just really dig everything that she does. But I also kind of can't help myself, and I love teaching, and so I'm sure I'll talk a lot about writing tips and tricks or full-on lessons that I've learned along the way that I want to pass along. I'll also probably talk some about writing and really just living with a chronic illness, because I have ME/CFS, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's been, in the past, it's been called CFS, but chronic fatigue syndrome. But CFS has kind of become a catch-all for a lot of illnesses, whereas ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis, is obviously a mouthful, which is why we say ME, is more specific to a neurologic autonomic disorder, which, like last weekend, I had a seizure. And that was the first time I've had that seizure. It's called dystonia, and apparently it's a relatively rare occurrence, but it is not that rare among ME sufferers. So it's just another kind of part of my illness and something that I now have to keep an eye out for. So I like to do a lot. I'm super type A. Like, I like to work. I like to do things well. And obviously, as you can imagine, that kind of butts heads, right, with the whole ME, fatigue, brain fog, neurologic sort of issues. So I'm sure I'll talk quite a bit about what it's like trying to pursue a career, being a mom, being a human being in a world filled with things that I want to do, but given a body that isn't always down for that. And I keep a fairly positive attitude on life, so I'll probably talk a lot about happiness and things that I think are good for your soul and are good for lifting your spirits. And I hope I can bring you a smile as well. And so I think that's it. So yeah. Okay, so what authors have inspired my writing the most? From the beginning, it was, and I knew, okay, I knew I was going to draw a blank, but then I didn't prepare for it, so that was smart. My first, awesome dive into books that I remember were Sir Lloyd Alexander's Taran the Wanderer series. And from there, Anne McCaffrey. I mean, Dragon Riders of Pern as a young teenage girl, I wanted to be one of those dragon riders for sure. And as you can imagine, I had a fairly healthy imagination. So I really enjoyed those books. And I actually got to meet Anne McCaffrey when I was about 11. And she asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said a writer. I don't recall ever thinking that before or even after for like another 20 years. But that's what I said, and she said, never let anybody stand between you and your dreams. And so I haven't. So M. McCaffrey for short. But and there are lots of other awesome writers that I read in between there, but it was Guy Gavriel Kay's The Fiona of Our Tapestry that really rocked my world and made me feel like I wanted to be like him. I wanted to write stories that were so beautiful they hurt, that could make me laugh, that could make me cry. I'm kind of hard-hearted, so I don't like just cry at the drop of a hat. So if a book makes me cry, I think it's like, whoa, like you've got to stop and think about this. And The Fiona of Our Tapestry was that for me. It's the only series I've been able to reread, and I do regularly because, as I said, I think that series was just so profound for me, and I want to write like that. The sad truth is I don't write like that. I would love to be a beautiful lyrical writer, but I'm not. That's not how my talent or my storytelling happens, which is a topic for another day. But anyways, so Guy Gavriel Kay. And then as a writer, like currently in my world right now, I love Patricia Briggs, Devin Monk, Lindsay Broker, Danica Dark, Jennifer Armentrout, Sarah Cannon. I love those guys. Those guys are the bomb, and I will read everything they write. Okay. Do I schedule, and I would love to know who you guys read, because okay, that's question 13. I shall follow the rules. So, number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can? I'm a full-time writer, and I say full-time because when you make your own hours, sometimes, really, it's probably more like I'm working on my business like an alcoholic. No, sorry, no, that's not what I meant to say. Oh my gosh. I meant to say workaholic. Really, I did. So I am a workaholic. I know this about myself. I don't spend all of my time writing, but I am working a lot, and I like it. I like working, so it's not a problem for me. I prefer to write in the morning, which is a pain because most of my writing friends are like writing at night, and they are having all these fun sprints and get-togethers, and I'm not there because I am definitely a sunshine girl. In case you can't tell from my office, I really like bright, sunshiny things, and if you check out my brand and everything, I totally do not look like an urban fantasy author. Like my stuff should look like Desi back here, right? Like dark and magical and stuff. Sarah Cannon, she nails that. And so you could go look at her for an example of how to do this genre's brand. That's not me. My stuff is definitely more like my mini books up here, kind of light and bright, and even though the stories I tell inside might have some darker elements, because life is life and it's not all sunshine and roses, but I definitely prefer the sunshine. I'm a sun worshiper, and I love sunshine, so I love to write in the morning. I can keep writing throughout the day. I'm not like limited, but my ideal writing time is the morning, and that's what I do after getting up and doing some yoga and stuff. That's what I do, is write. So I don't know if I answered that question. And you know, when you're recording yourself, you're very, very aware of like the stupid facial expressions you make. If you go on TikTok and you record yourself on a video and you forget to set a thumbnail, which I almost always do, you're invariably going to end up with one of these sorts of facial expressions, right? And you're like, do I actually make that face? Yes, you do. I do. So, do I type on a computer, typewriter by hand, blah, blah, blah. I write on my computer for sure. However, I plot by hand, and if I'm stuck on a scene or device or whatever, I'll work it out by hand. I'm definitely a huge believer that there is a mind-body connection that helps you reach a deeper creative well when you write by hand. I just physically can't do that for very long, so I type on my computer. I don't have to be in my office. I don't have to be on a specific laptop. I don't have to be in a specific place. I can write anywhere, but I really do like to type because I can write really fast that way. And last but not least, what am I looking forward to most? Now that I'm a part of AuthorTube, I'm so excited that I can say that. I love friends. I love making friends. I love getting to know people deeper. I feel like story is, well, I don't feel like I know that story is our oldest and deepest form of communication. And so I think it has a unique way to bring people together that other forms of communication just can't mirror, right? Because we speak in story, whether we're storytellers or not. We speak in story to each other, and in our histories, like how we teach our children and everything. So I would like to make friends, and I would like to introduce you to my books. I would like people to buy more books. I'm going to be completely upfront about that because I think it's inauthentic or whatever to say something else. I also think I've got cool stuff to share with the people here who might be interested to learn more about writing, because I think we all have our own unique look at things. And so, but I really, really, really love to talk with other readers. And that is my most favorite, and I'm hoping to do that here. I'm hoping to make friends and to be part of a community and to not only receive, as I have been for the past 10 years, but also give back to that community. I hope I have something of value to give back. I want to believe that I do. I'm just not entirely sure right at this moment what that might be. So yeah, and that's the end of my 13 questions. So let me tell you just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm going to go to 30 minutes, and I'm at 28 and a half. So here we go. I am old. I didn't have my kids until I was 32. I had twin boys who are now almost 21. Do the math. It's my birthday this next week, and I am actually feeling really good about myself because all year long I thought I was 53 and that I was turning 54, but it turns out that I did the math wrong, which is typical, and that I'm actually only going to be turning 53. It's like I got an extra year out of the universe or something. I've been married to my husband for almost 30 years, and he is awesome and I love him. He's a great big nerd, and that is just awesome to me. And I have 2 Yorkies whom I love, who have very happily replaced my children as my actual children, since my boys are, growing up or grown up, or they're not grown up. They still live at home. They're not grown up. But I'll show you pictures. They're super handsome and available, Maybe I'm here for that too. A little matchmaking for my boys. Hey, bring it on. So, yeah. Okay, my 30 minutes are up. thank you all for watching and for making this space available to readers and writers, and I'm happy to be here as part of AuthorTube, WriterTube, BookTube. I'm just happy to be here in the tube. See you guys later. Bye.